Welcome to the Labour Force. I'm Bongeni Mutwa. The debate over proposed amendments to the Pension Fund Act of 1956 to allow workers who have fallen on hard times financially due to the devastating impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on jobs and family incomes to be able to access a percentage of their pension fund money before retirement is heating up. Cosatu first proposed the move at the height of massive retrenchments last year, which saw over 2 million people lose their jobs due to the national lockdown to fight the spread of COVID-19 in the country. The Democratic Alliance followed suit and tabled a private members' amendment bill of the Pension Fund Act in Parliament in November last year.
We just had thousands of letters and phone calls from people saying that they are in real crisis. They can't feed their families. They've lost their income because of COVID. And it would really help them if they could get access to the cash savings that they have for their pension.
While Cosatu is pushing for workers to be able to access up to 30% of their retirement savings in these difficult times, the Democratic Alliance says it doesn't have a specific amount that it's targeting at this stage.
Essentially, we would like pension funds to be able to give a loan to savers, to people who have got money in their pension funds, a very low interest or no interest loan that is guaranteed by their pension funds, that they can either pay back now so that they don't lose any savings, or just pay it back when they retire and they get access to their pension. And that way it essentially gives them access to their pension without losing any of their retirement savings.
Workers' retirement savings in the country currently amount to trillions of rand, with the Public Investment Corporation managing 2 trillion rand on behalf of the Government Employees Pension Fund. There was great expectation that Finance Minister Tito Mboweni would touch on the sensitive issue during his budget last week, but he did not. Bongeni Mutwa, SABC News, Johannesburg. Well, for more, I'm joined by Cosatu Parliamentary Liaison Officer Matthew Parks. Good afternoon, Matthew.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me.
It's always a pleasure to have you on the show. When you first proposed this in the middle of last year, there was a total economic shutdown, obviously because of COVID. But now we are far removed from that. The economy has been largely reopened and it's slowly picking up. So would you say that at this point there is still a critical need for this?
Yes, we would. We still are in the middle of a pandemic. Many workers, as you said, have lost their jobs. Even those workers who have kept their jobs, many of them have not had increases, are highly indebted. Many workers, especially in the private sector, have also lost wages. None of us knows how long this is going to go on. But I think also at a principled level, there should be a legal framework, which government agrees to now, that allows workers who have lost wages, who have experienced some sort of difficulty, are distressed, etc., to access part of the pension funds. This is workers' money, and it's very difficult to tell a worker that they have money saved, but they can't access it in a moment of great family need. And of course, we also want to balance the rights. So you need to protect workers when they are struggling to take care of the families. That's always the number one priority. You can't tell workers to wait 25 years till they're retired to have access to the funds when they're in emergency. But also you need to allow workers some limited access to avoid them resigning from the workplace. Because under the current laws, if you lose your job, you can access your entire pension. So you want to avoid workers resigning from jobs because jobs are very scarce, and those workers will be in another crisis if they resign and then are now unemployed. But you also want to avoid them taking too much from the pension fund and then creating another crisis when they retire and they have nothing left saved. So this is trying to find the right balance of allowing some relief to workers and to the families now, putting some money into the economy to stimulate it, etc., but also making sure it's done in a measured way that it doesn't deplete the pension funds, which are critical to taking care of those workers when they retire and their families, and also critical to investing in the economy. So it's finding the right balance. Government, we had raised...
Just if you don't mind, Matthew, the DA is proposing that workers should be allowed to borrow against their pension fund savings. What are you proposing? Are you proposing that workers should be able to withdraw cash directly from their pension funds and not have to repay it?
So we're basically proposing two things. One is to allow workers, so under the existing law, workers can take a loan from the pension fund for a house, for a building, for property. We're proposing two things. One is to allow those workers who want to take a loan for other measures besides just a home loan, for financial measures, financial relief, etc. Allow them to take a loan, but also not all workers can afford to take a loan. Many workers are highly indebted. Even public servants are highly indebted. So to allow those workers who the choice, if they want to take a loan, fine, but if they want a simple cash withdrawal, fine as well. So we think we need to do both options. The DA's private members bill doesn't allow that. It only allows a loan. So we think it needs to be amended to allow for withdrawals as well. But also we have proposed a lower limit for how much workers can withdraw. We have proposed to limit it to about 30%. The DA bill, we think it's a little bit too high at 75% because you don't want the entire depletion of the workers' pension fund because it is critical that they have some savings when they retire. So it's trying to find the right balance between the two.
Now, discussions, we understand, have been going on for many months now between yourselves as stakeholders at NEDLAC and also in Parliament in the Finance Portfolio Committee. Is this move by yourselves gaining any support from especially organized business, the pension fund industry, and of course, National Treasury?
It is. It has taken a bit of time, unfortunately, a little bit too long time. We proposed it in May last year and government was not keen on it that time. But over engagements, we had managed as Cosatu to get government to agree. They've now agreed to it. And hence you saw in the October medium-term budget statement by the Minister of Finance, Tito Mboweni, agreement by government that it would be done and must be done this year. Many of the pension funds actually do agree with it. They do agree that there is a need for their own sustainability to allow workers a limited access to their funds. We are worried that in the speech by the Minister a week ago, that there was no reference made to it. It was in the budget itself. Remember, the budget speech is only 30 pages. The budget itself is about 1,200 pages, and there was a reference. But we're not happy as Cosatu with the speed with which government's moving. We had wanted this to come into effect by the 1st of October this year. It does take quite a long time to get legislation through Parliament. We can fast-track it, and we were convinced that we can convince the parliamentarians to fast-track it across political party lines. But Treasury needs to either table a bill before the end of March so that this can come into effect by October this year. Otherwise, if they don't move with speed, what they raised with Parliament yesterday is that we must simply use the DA members' private bill at Parliament, which is already there, and we can simply insert into it the necessary amendments so that it addresses everybody's concerns and then move with speed on that. But either way, for us, the bottom line is by Easter, Parliament must be moving with a bill so it has at least 6 months to process it. And then it can then be given to the President to sign by September, so it can come into effect by October. And we are quite worried that government is not moving with speed, and this is sending a wrong message to workers who are desperate. Even workers like public servants who have received their wages are highly indebted and they need this relief. You may also find that a public servant has got his job, but his wife has lost her wages or her job in the private sector. So there is a need to provide relief, and it needs to be done quite quickly.
Well, Matthew, thank you very much for your time. Always a pleasure to have you on. And we certainly going to be watching as this move and debate unfolds in the coming months. Thank you very much.
Thank you.